What's up, everyone? I want to talk today about Ready Player One quickly. There's one particular thing I had in mind to talk about, but um, before I do that, I would like to quickly go over singing the book's praises just a little bit. The story is a lot of fun. If you haven't read it, I think you should, at least to get ready for the release of the film. Um, Ernest Cline, the writer of this book, really knows what he's doing. And there's two things in here that I really want to point out as great positive things, and that is his consistency in tone, because the story is told through first person through the protagonist. So his name is Wade. He's a young 20 something year old who's a relatable in modern times. He's a recluse, doesn't have very many friends. He plays a lot of games, reads, comic books, watches. He's into pop culture. He's economically low class, and there's a lot of things that make him relatable. And Ernest Cline is successful in telling the story in the tone of voice of somebody like that. He gives you about 300 to 400 pages of tone in that voice, and all the experiences, all the conversations are told in that way, and it's consistent, and it's great. Furthermore, not only is it consistent and interesting, but Ernest Cline does something that's pretty cool, and that is he successfully, in my opinion, this is all my opinion, he successfully goes against the grain of conventional wisdom that says show, don't tell. This book has a lot of exposition in it, where the context of the context in which the things in the story happen, right, have to be explained, have to be understood in order to really understand what the hell's going on. And Ernest holds you by the hand by it. He tells you explicitly, I'm going to go over the history of this person over here. I'm going to go over the history of that person over there. I'm going to show you who this guy is and what he used to do and why he's evil or why he's good. And let me explain to you my relationship with my friends and how we, there's a lot of let me show you, let me tell you. And normally that's not advisable. It's very easy to put your readers to sleep, and it's not as interesting as showing them. But Ernest actually succeeds. I don't know how. It's strange. I find myself reading a chapter, it's told very well, and it kind of seamlessly shifts into exposition mode, and it's like water where it just starts happening, and you don't know how you got in there, but by the end of the chapter, you just realize, wow, I just read 20 pages or 10 pages of nothing but let me tell you what this was. And it wasn't intrusive, it wasn't distracting, it didn't put you to sleep, it was actually interesting. And I can't remember the last time I ever felt that. Well, it's been anyways, I think it's a hard thing to do. I think writers are scared to put their readers to sleep, but Ernest Cline manages to successfully pull that off. And it's pretty impressive, I think. But okay, so what's the point of this video beside that? I wanted to give my thoughts as to a kind of disagreement I have towards what a lot has been said about the book, particularly how it's been described. This book has been out for like 5 years, but obviously the people have been talking about it more since the movie is about to come out in 2 more weeks. Today's like today's March like 16th, 2018, something like that. The book has been described as Willy Wonka meets the Matrix, and the more I think about it, the less that seems. It's not inaccurate, but I don't think it doesn't really capture what the story is. If I had never read the book and someone told me that Willy Wonka meets the Matrix, I'm not sure I would have the right expectations actually reading the story. Because okay, let's go over it. Let's unpack this a bit. What part of this comes from? Let's do the easy part first. What part of this comes from the Matrix? Well, the Oasis, duh. All right, virtual reality. But what's actually the plot or the story of the Matrix? Well, long story short, Neo, the Chosen One, has a quest where he ends up being the sacrificial lamb that helps. What is it? Destroy the Mr. Smith, whatever that is, and rescue the people that live in Zion, right? So it's a kind of Jesus quest kind of thing where he sacrifices himself for the good of other people. Now, does Wade mimic that at all? Yeah, in a sense, kind of, yeah. Oasis is the thing that everybody loves and is under threat from the IOIs, right? From Nolan Sorrento. And Wade does pull a couple moves in the story that involves him sacrificing himself for the good of his friends. So you could make that parallel, and I think that does work. I think it does float. Now, what about the Willy Wonka part? What part of this has anything to do with Willy Wonka, really? Willy Wonka, well, you have Oasis, it's owned by James Halliday, and James Halliday sets up this game where the winner of it is going to inherit his thing, is going to inherit his creation. So Willy Wonka makes a chocolate factory, he makes a game, and the winner is going to inherit the factory. Of course, you don't know that until the end, right? You don't know that he's going to give you the factory until the end. Now, that's all well and good. That's a parallel, right? But still, there's something really important missing. This book is 400 pages, roughly. 400 pages. Now that's probably, if you read at a normal speed, that's probably more than 10 hours, right? Now, of that time, when you're reading this book, right, what is going on? What's the story? What's happening? What are the conflicts, the events that transpire? What is the protagonist involved in? If this is a Willy Wonka story, what kind of story, what kind of thing was Willy Wonka about? What were the people engaged in? Well, Willy Wonka is a lottery, isn't it? Find the golden ticket. Find the golden ticket. You find the golden ticket, then you get invited to the factory. And when you get invited in the factory, you participate in some kind of game, right? Or I don't even remember. I think you just take a tour of the factory or something like that. But the main thing that people remember is that it's a lottery. Now, what is lottery? Lottery is a game of chance. It's a game of chance, right? It has nothing to do. It's just luck, right? Ready Player One is not a lottery at all. Halliday sets up a game, but it's not a lottery. It's a scavenger hunt, isn't it? I've set up riddles that yield keys, and the keys yield entrance to the gates, and the gates have games where you have to pass in order to get this. So it's a scavenger hunt, a set of things you got to find and to complete in order to complete the quest. It's a giant MMO RPG kind of thing. And particularly the riddles part is what throws me off. Not throws me off, but is an element, right, that is not accounted for at all in the comparison between Willy Wonka and Matrix and the Matrix. So, and what I was saying is that this book is 400 pages, and for the duration of this time, you are in the scavenger hunt. You're not in a lottery. You're in a scavenger hunt, solving riddles and playing games and achieving high scores and things like that. So, while the Willy Wonka and Matrix combination does obviously capture huge themes in the story, the main experience that you get from reading it, right, the things that you're involved in most of the time, is not accounted for at all. A big part of this book, now this is changing the subject a little bit, a big part of Ready Player One is actually a romance. It is a scavenger hunt, right? It is a romance. There's a bunch of relationships that Wade has. He has relationships with Artemis, which is the romance. He has relationships with H. He's got relationships with Shoto and Saito. And there's a villain, right? Nolan Sorrento. There's a villain in this freaking thing. There's no villain in Willy Wonka. Not really. So I don't buy it, really. I mean, I don't think Willy Wonka and Matrix is bad, but again, I just don't think it captures, the experience of reading the book. You just see so many different things. And if I had to switch it, I would keep the Matrix, obviously, because it's a virtual reality thing. But as far as the story, the plot, what you find yourself in, because there's a number of riddles and because it's a scavenger hunt, I hate to say it, but the only movie I can think of that actually mimics that, and there's probably better examples of this because I don't like the way this sounds either, but it's National Treasure. National Treasure. National Treasure meets the Matrix. That to me actually captures the plot a lot more than Willy Wonka. Just saying, you know. That's goddamn 10 minutes to go over an opinion, sorry. But maybe you can do all three. Matrix, Willy Wonka, and National Treasure. That to me seems to capture the story a lot more than the Willy Wonka part alone. The Willy Wonka part with the Matrix, right? I've never seen anyone make the connection of the Matrix of capturing the main plot. That definitely doesn't work. I don't think it does. But Willy Wonka doesn't either. Unless I missed something, which in case you disagree with me, that's fantastic. Leave an opinion below. Tell me what you think. Have you read the book? Do you think that the Willy Wonka analogy works? Not do you think it works? Do you think it captures 100% of what the story is? Maybe not 100%, but do you think it really captures the story? Do you think it's... If you had a friend, someone that asked you, hey, I want to read Ready Player One, is it good? Would you tell them, yeah, the whole... You can imagine... If you imagine Willy Wonka meets the Matrix, you're going to understand and have the right expectations for the whole story. I mean, is that really how you feel? Because I was thinking about that, and I couldn't feel it. No, I don't think it captures the whole thing. National Treasure, really. Because it's a bunch of riddles and it's a scavenger hunt. I think that captures it a lot more. And like I said, again, the presence of the romance and the villain totally makes it separate from Willy Wonka. I think there are some parallels between it, but I think on the end there's more things that are not in common than the things that there are. Okay, thanks for listening. I do think it is a fun read. It's fun. It's just fun. Pick it up. $10, $15 at Barnes & Noble. You won't regret it. Easy to read. And, alright. That's all. Thanks for listening. See you later. Bye.